Welcome to our series of What, Why, and How of Servant Leadership. I am Dr. Gardenia T. Bullock, your host for this session. The reason for the series is, of course, to help you step up your leadership call, and you are on God's agenda. Our focus is to help you engage, equip, encourage, evangelize, and of course, inspire others. We know that researchers show that leaders learn by doing, which we call experimental learning. There are organizations, businesses, educational institutions, seminaries, and the like, which are employing leadership programs that address the Greenleaf's model of servant leadership. On the other hand, they have found that churches, sports, and health institutions are lagging behind in embracing this model of servant leadership. Businesses, universities, and seminary schools, as well as the government, are teaching these concepts. The focus is for the bottom line. However, we as ministry should consider seriously servant leadership as a focus for training our ministry leaders, especially our young leaders. They are already gathering information from social media. They are receiving positive and negative influencers, and the ministry should be at the forefront in helping them understand the power of servant leadership. Why is that? Well, there's a gap between the ideology and perception about the church as a caring, leading, and spiritual body for transforming their lives. Simpler as this: they do not believe that the church is doing enough to transform their lives positively. Young people believe that ministry is not addressing the needs of the people in the community. Yes, of course, we think we are evangelizing. We think we are meeting the needs, but not according to our young people. The church is not the dominant influence in their lives. We are not seen as a caring institution in addressing their needs. Research supports what they're saying. Therefore, there is a need for ministry to strengthen and develop leadership as servant leaders to close this gap, close our perception. So why is leadership not dominating ministries? Well, Pastor Edu offers this explanation. He says that there is a strategic direction that is very difficult for churches to change. The strategic reaction of the church has been that pastors and servant church leaders fail to conduct and monitor their plans. They have a plan, they establish it, and go forward without really analyzing continuously what programs or projects that benefit the growth of the church. Therefore, he urges that church leaders must foster a culture that is conducive to improving the strategic directions of the local church through servant leadership. It is my belief that every church can be an excellent church. Why do I say that? because we serve an excellent God, all powerful. So he established the church, so we have the opportunity to be an excellent church. So what is servant leadership? Well, the definition offered recently by Eva and researchers said that servant leadership should be more focused on the psychological needs of followers. It is different than other leadership models because it focuses on the followers and not first the organization. They further stated in their definition that there are 3 features that servant leadership must encompass: motive, mode, and mindset. The motive of servant leadership stems from the outside of the leader. The leader is concerned about the welfare of others. In other words, a true servant leader really cannot help himself or herself, because the leader's resolve and conviction or belief comes from leading others. The leader gets its fulfillment from helping, working, directing their interests toward others for their well-being. This is a different strategy from other leadership models. The mindset of the servant leader is that of one who reflects a trustee. The trustee is concerned about prioritizing, as we said, the individual follower. It is unique in that the servant leader is able to identify individual followers' needs, their interests, their goals, the desires, the strengths and challenges. Therefore, you must be able to meet people where their needs are. The servant leader is concerned about the growth of each follower, concerned about their psychological well-being, emotional maturity, and ethical wisdom. Greenleaf's argued that for this type of leadership to take place, there must be a transformation. He regarded that our system consists of 3 large institutions: the government, universities, and the church. And each has a responsibility to its customers. To examine one and not all was not what he was trying to do. He thought that transformation of these institutions would require the establishment of a board of equals who cared about the welfare of others. These trustees act as a trusted body. Within that body, there is one person called the servant leader, the premise, who is the overseer, bringing people together, that is actually helping the body move forward and transform. The trustees oversee the administration leadership, but they are dedicated servant leaders. How to understand this transition and transformation? Well, we all have ideologies, movements, and systems in various ways, but it is the purpose of serving that we should focus on. That's the essence of helping others. Part of the problem, according to Greenleaf, is that serve and lead are overused words, and they become so overused that we begin to see them negatively. So we find a way to not serve and not lead because of the negative connotations of leadership. But a servant leader does not. The servant leader gets his or her fulfillment by serving others first. Even in transforming to a servant leadership model of the premise and a board of servant leaders, the premise at the head, who is a servant leader, and works with a group of servant leaders that help identify an administrative board to operate for the betterment of the ministry. Even in this concept, it can be done if you have a body of people who truly understand that the essence of servant leadership is about others and not the organization as primary. Rather, they see people, followers, as priority. So that is why our young people see the church as not answering their needs, because it is about the organization and not about serving as we say we are. So let's look at this set of builders. Greenleaf theorized that there must be a set of builders within these organizations, those three organizations that we spoke of: universities, the government, and the churches. Large universities, businesses, and churches, especially in Protestant churches, have in common governing bodies. These governing boards usually have enough power, enough autonomy to become originators of this new transformation. Again, the primary movers in this transformation or regeneration or transforming must be trustees who are servant leaders, and the chair is a premise leader who people will follow. Why? Because they can trust the board. Why ministries need to understand this social economic that is all behind the premise of leading others. Well, the church is a viable institution. Definitely in our system, the church is viable. The church is one that preaches that they are a caring, nurturing institution. Yet, it is the businesses that are stepping up to nurture and care for their customers. They are leading the way. Again, about that bottom line. So churches are seeking a way to serve. Many of them have felt that they need to revamp, look at a different way of leading. Most, we have been found in research to be okay with the status quo. So if we are a ministry that desire to move to the model of servant leadership, how do we move there? We talked about the board of trustees as central as a board of servant leaders who people can trust. The other factor that's key is understanding that we cannot see ourselves as being in status quo and being good and just okay, but to be the excellent church that God has called us to be, to move from just okay and distinguish ourselves as a great body that is moving and continue to move to support others, and they in turn will be followers. Another thing that's challenging is the fact that we are not creating opportunities for people. We find the ministry, according to research, limited in that direction. Greenleaf said it this way: but we are estranged, particularly our young people, and we have been so for a long time. And we need a religion and a church to husband its service. That religion is about healing. It is there to heal. It is there to help those who feel that they're insignificant, they're alienated from others. We have to build that force as a new society so that people feel loved, so that it is just. And the church, he says, must be the institution that rises to this. You cannot change what you do not understand. And that is why we are teaching about servant leaders and stepping up your leadership call. This wraps up session 1. What, why, and how of servant leadership. I hope you cannot wait for session 2. To recap, why we must be willing to help our children. Our young people have need of us. Why? Because we as the church are indebted to God to be the best servant leaders that we can. We are empowered to do this. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive and be ready for lesson 2.